So we have Doctor Who and
Space babies!
Right. Where do we start with this? Right, opening with Ruby Sunday walking up to the TARDIS. We get this shot which circles around her with the TARDIS door open. She's in the middle of a main street and there's not a soul in sight. No one. No traffic. No people. Nothing. Just her. Then, once she meets the Doctor, she asks him who he is, and he says, "I'm the Doctor." Like, in this weird accent. I mean, I can't even put a name to the accent. It's just, "I'm a Doctor." He just sounds effeminate. And I'm not saying that because I know he's gay. He just doesn't sound like what I'm used to hearing from the Doctor. Even Jodie Whittaker, when she said, "I'm the Doctor," she said it with authority, and he just goes, "I'm the Doctor," and it just, I just cringed. And anyway, he explains to her basically who he is, and he explains what the TARDIS is. He tells her what it means, what it stands for. I'm not going to go into all of that. Everyone knows who's watching this video. You know all about the TARDIS, all about the Doctor, all of that. Then they randomly travel to 150 million years into the past to see dinosaurs. Then she talks about, "But what if I step on a butterfly? Won't it change things?" And the Doctor says, "Well, who steps on butterflies?" And then she walks out the door, and guess what? She steps on a butterfly.
Fuck off.
I mean, the writing's just pathetic. And then she changes into this weird half-human, half-butterfly creature, I'm assuming, that doesn't have any wings that I could see anyway, and then instantly threatens the Doctor. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? Then Ruby transforms back with no explanation of what the fuck had just happened. And even the Doctor looked confused. He's just like looking around and then pauses before he closes the TARDIS door before they leave, and it's like, yeah, mate, I'm just as confused as you, because I don't have a clue what the fuck's going on. Then they randomly land on a space station full of babies. Yes?
Space babies!
As the Doctor keeps saying. He loves to say that. That's a theme in this episode. He loves to shout, "Space babies!" And on the space station they find out first that there's a creature there, a monster. And then the Doctor says, "No, you shouldn't be frightened of monsters, because monsters are creatures that you just haven't met yet," which is from the line, "As strangers are friends that you just haven't met yet." So he's just changed that line, and when it roars, the Doctor instantly turns and runs after saying, "Don't be scared." Then he says later that he had a shiver up his spine and it's never happened to him before. Well, I think if you look back in other episodes, that is not true. The Doctor has basically crapped his pants in many episodes and been fearful for his life in many episodes, and here he said he's never been before ever. So that was bullshit. Then they bump into the
Space babies!
And the baby, called Eric, I believe, instantly thinks that they're his parents. Right, let's get on to the kids. Right, the babies in this episode are just fucking weird. Especially Eric, the first kid that we've seen. He's like an expressionless zombie. He just has starey eyes with this obviously CGI mouth doing all of the movements to the voiceover, which was done really badly. But they didn't animate the eyes at all. They didn't give him any expression at all. The only time we got expression from the children is when they were laughing and giggling. That's the only thing the children could do. You would think they would try at least to give them a bit of expression. They just look like little zombies. And wait, it gets better. It turns out that they're not actually children at all. But by whatever reason, because it was never explained, they should by now be adults because they've been there for a long time. But the ship for whatever reason, had kept them as children, but that was never explained why or how. Apparently they were abandoned because they couldn't afford to keep them.
Fuck off.
So whatever race that made these children, created these children, they couldn't afford to keep them, so they just abandoned them on this space station. I mean, because they said it was too expensive, so they just left the children there to die. The adults abandoned them.
Really? Really?
I mean, was he having a jibe at the NHS there? Then we meet the baby, not baby, captain. And I could have guessed it before I seen this child. I would have put money on it being a black female, not baby captain. And guess what? It was exactly that. A black girl baby captain. Sorry, of colour girl baby captain. Then we get some random crap like nose blowing machines, nappy changing machines, and a vague explanation of why they were on their own. But that was never really questioned by the doctor. Then we meet Nanny, who had been hiding, helping the babies without ever interacting with them because she said she didn't want to see them die, which didn't make sense.
This is dumb.
Then she says she's not an engineer, but she had managed to fix all of the machines. Somehow. Again, never explained. Then it gets worse still. We get some random dialogue about refugees with lines like, "That's the fate of every refugee in the universe. You physically have to turn up at someone else's shore." Obviously, a reference to the dinghy dwellers, no doubt, that's crossing the English Channel. And I must point out that the doctor loves saying,
Space babies!
honestly, you must say it a dozen times. He even shouts it randomly for some reason. Then we have the babies rescuing the doctor and Ruby from the bogeyman, which is the monster, with, I kid you not, flamethrowers built into their strollers. I mean, at this stage, I just burst out laughing. Honestly, I just couldn't believe it. It was a slap your face moment. And it was just like, what the fuck's going on in this episode? None of it made any sense. Well, now, thankfully, we are getting to the climax. Then they try to eject the bogey monster man out of the airlock until we get another flashback about the doctor saying Doctor Who is unique and the only one left, so they have to save the bogeyman because it turns out that he is the only bogeyman in the universe, just like the doctor, and it actually turns out to be the kid's friend.
You gotta be kidding.
They didn't really want to kill it because it was always the friend of the children. Then the doctor propelled a space station with a giant fart.
This is dumb.
Gases that had built up from the children's nappies, festering somewhere, God knows where, because they didn't really say. And then he released it out of a air vent and it propelled the space station to another planet that they had found where there's people on that the doctor knew the species of the people that are caring people. Well, wouldn't they have known? Because the planet was in the same system. They should have known that that space station was there and it had babies on it. Why didn't it go up and get them? Then it was explained that, again, that refugees have to go to the shores of somewhere to be rescued. That this planet wouldn't come and save them. They would have to go to them. Another reference to the dinghy dwellers. Okay, so what can I say? I mean, after watching this for the second time, I have to say, at times it wasn't as bad as I first thought. It was quite funny in places. When I say funny, I mean, it was bad, but not terrible. Just stupid. It didn't make sense. The concept was stupid. How can anyone think that this could work? It just looked ridiculous. But I suppose, it is supposed to be a sci-fi and it is a family show. It's not made for young kids. Like people seem to think, it's a kid show. It's not a kid show. It's actually a family show. It's classed as a family show. The children in this were not cute by any stretch of the imagination. They look creepy, especially Eric, the main boy child, which was white, which was something anyway. He just had to stare. Nothing made sense in this episode. Not a mention of how they ate the food, or if they ever washed. I mean, the place must have stunk. especially with the nappies, but there wasn't any mention of a smell. And, I mean, the ending was kind of lame, but we're not going to that because it was just a typical ending. I mean, at the end, the Doctor gives Ruby her own key for the TARDIS, which is obviously a thing from previous Doctors where they've given their companion a key of their own, but she gets hers in the first episode, straight away. And then the Doctor randomly says, we cannot go back to Christmas Day when you were born to see who left you at the church in the snow, because it would change things in time, which makes sense. But he went there more than once. So why can't she just go there to see who it was who left her there? I mean, was it her? Is she her own mother? Which would probably be right for this writer. Russell T Davies doesn't have a clue. I'm afraid he's terrible. He writes about sexualization of everything, especially a family show. It's just sexualization because he's a gay man and he wants to turn everything into gay stuff for gay people. It's pathetic and it needs to stop. Well, guys, that's my review of
Space Babies!
What can I say about this one? A total shit show. Funny at times, but I don't think it was meant to be funny. It was just cringe funny. So anyway, that's my review over for this one. I will see you on the next one.